You can start now, Lucy.
Great. Hi, everyone, and welcome. It's wonderful to see everyone today. So distinguished guests, young leaders from around the world, a really warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us today. My name's Lucy. I'm chair of the Commonwealth Youth Health Network, and I'll be your moderator today for this session. I'm delighted to welcome you to the Commonwealth Youth Council Executives Elections Hustings event, and this is going to be with our CYC chairperson candidates, so really exciting. The Commonwealth Youth Council is one of the 13 within the Commonwealth family of youth networks. The CYC itself is an independent youth organisation that represents 1.4 billion youth across the Commonwealth, and typically each term of the CYC executive will last for 2 years. This time we have 40 candidates who are contesting across 9 executive positions. Officially nominated national youth delegates, who are referred to as NYDs, from the 54 Commonwealth countries are eligible to vote in the election, and I know many of you watching will be national youth delegates yourself. When elected, the 9 elected executives will form the Executive Council of the CYC, which will overall be responsible for the CYC's leadership, governance, and also its strategic direction. Together, working closely with the 120 national youth delegates, the CYC will be the voice of the 1.4 billion young people of the Commonwealth for the next 2 years, and will be tasked to make the Commonwealth fairer, more equitable, and more sustainable. Today, we will see candidates running for the position of chairperson answer a few questions to provide national youth delegates with an insight into their thoughts and their plans and their vision. I think it's worth reminding everyone just a little bit on the role of the CYC chairperson before we begin the discussion. So the CYC chairperson is the presiding officer of the council's executive. They are a really critical part of the leadership role and giving direction to Commonwealth Youth Council, and they act as the official spokesperson for the body. They have a really important role in leading a diverse group of national youth delegates, of young people, and also in driving greater governance and accountability for the council. They have an active role in making sure that the council works effectively and efficiently in terms of setting tasks, in terms of setting vision, and actually making sure that the strategic plan and work priorities set by national youth delegates and national youth councils are fully implemented to a high quality and a high standard. So it's a big task, but I'm sure all the candidates who are here today are more than ready to take this on. But do keep in mind some of these core ideals around, governance, around accountability, and potentially the role of the CYC chairperson in driving, enhanced constitutional reform over the coming years, and think about how these candidates might be able to play a role in this. So now we have to think about, who are our candidates today? And I was asked just to sort of remind people as well that it's important to note that all CYC roles and positions are unpaid and voluntary roles. And we have 4 candidates who are running for chairperson, and these are Anaseini, Broderick, Kim, and Mererai, and you'll have an opportunity to be introduced to each of these over the next couple of hours and hear a little bit more from them on their vision for CYC chairperson. Before moving on to the substantive part of the discussions, which are definitely going to be the most enjoyable part of the hustings, there is some technical information that we need to provide to you. So I'm just going to run through that first, so you know exactly how the session will flow, what you can expect, and just some of perhaps technical detail that you might also need to be aware of. So joining me today is Eileen, who's going to be the back-end moderator of this session. And she will be playing a really important role supporting me in moderating the chat and also keeping an eye on the time. During interventions, the back-end moderator is going to provide candidates with a countdown on the screen. And once the alarm sounds, we are asking the candidates, please finish your sentences so we can move on to the next candidate. If you're here as an observer or a member of the audience, please use the chat function to ask any questions that you may want the candidates to answer. So after that, please just think about this, how you're going to present your question, make it clear, make it cogent. And after the first round of questions that we have planned for today, we're going to open the floor for questions specifically asked by you. So please do make sure that you're thinking about those questions and make full advantage of it, because this is your chance to really talk to the candidates and hear a little bit about what they would do. We're going to begin the agenda by asking candidates to introduce themselves in just 1 minute. Dear candidates, please keep your contributions brief. As mentioned, you'll have time later to elaborate on this and elaborate on what you have planned, but this is your opportunity to really pitch to our audience here today. We're then going to proceed with 2 pre-decided questions for candidates to answer. Each candidate is going to have 2 minutes to answer an individual question. And after that, we're going to turn towards the 3rd question, which our outgoing CYC has put together for the candidates to answer based on their experience over the last 2 years. Once this stage is complete, I'm going to open the floor for questions specifically asked by the audience through the chat function. And we're going to finish the session today with a 2-minute closing speech by each candidate. I'm going to ask all our candidates to keep their camera on so you can see them unless they do have any issues with their internet, and please do keep your microphone switched off if you're not going to be responding to a question at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to move on to the next section of the agenda. And I would like to ask our first candidate to take the floor and introduce herself in 1 minute. And that is Mererai. Please, can you introduce yourself and in 1 minute sum up what your pitch is?
Bulavinaka, everyone. My name is Mererai Vatege. I am a young trade unionist and a lawyer by profession. I'm currently employed as the Senior Industrial Relations Officer for the National Union of Workers, a trade union organization based here in Lautoka in the western side of Fiji. I am also actively involved in the union's youth wing, currently the chairperson of the Fiji Trade Union Congress Youth Committee. Vinaka.
Thank you so much, Mererai. Can I now hand over to Kim Allen to introduce himself?
Thank you, Lucy. Greetings, everyone across the Commonwealth member states. My name is Kim Allen. I am from Papua New Guinea, a country in the Pacific, and I raised my hands to contest this chairperson candidate, seeing the challenges that we face in these current times. And I am optimistic and I am determined, confident that given my experience in the communications field in the youth and development space for over 10 years, I worked with the United Nations, with USAID, and with even the Commonwealth itself through its gender and equality network, the climate change. So given this experience and my passion, most importantly, in the youth space, because I come from the village and seeing the challenges that we face of climate change, COVID-19 now, and many myriad of challenges, I've taken this time to raise my hands and my volunteer experience to take on the chairperson candidacy for the Commonwealth Youth Council. So I believe with my experience, I'm currently studying for my master's in international development in Nagoya University, Japan. And I believe with my education and experience, and most importantly, the passion for youth and development.
Yeah, I'm afraid your 1 minute is up, but hopefully you were able to communicate everything you wanted to. I'm now going to hand over to Anna. Anna, if you could introduce yourself in 1 minute.
Malelele, and a very warm Pacific greetings to you all. My name is Anaseini Ulakai, and I am from the Kingdom of Tonga. I was a youth parliament for the Tonga National Youth Parliament and was appointed as the representative of the states of the Pacific to the International Conference on Population and Development, which I started my current position as the youth champion for the ICPD program of action. I wish to pursue this role of chairperson in the Commonwealth Youth Council because in my experiences of amplifying the voices of young people, I believe in the strong network of the Commonwealth and in the great influence that the council has on the Commonwealth leaders with the vision of achieving a common goal of youth prosperity. So that is why I wish to pursue this role with the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. And then to our last but not our least candidate, Broderick, can you introduce yourself and why you're running for this role?
Nisam Bulavinaka, warm Pacific greetings to everyone. My name is Broderick Mervyn. I'm currently the coordinator for Ignite for Change, a youth-led organization here in Fiji, also affiliated with various youth groups, both here at the national level as well as the regional level. And I've also been in the youth and community space for more than 10 years. My interest in becoming the chairperson for the Commonwealth Youth Council is to not only amplify the voice, but at the same time bring a togetherness, something that has always been a trait here for us in the Pacific that we can replicate to those in the Commonwealth region. And let me tell you, this role is quite a crucial one, especially for us in the Pacific, because we are here among the many nations in the Commonwealth region that will take your voice through, and at the same time, ensure that you as candidates, as well as those that are national youth delegates, have the platforms and opportunities to be part of this space. And I thank you.
Thank you to all our candidates for keeping to time and introducing themselves so well. So now we're going to move on to the moment I think everyone has been waiting for. I know I have, and this is the active debate between our candidates. So as I outlined at the beginning, there's going to be 3 predetermined questions for each of you to answer, and you're going to have 2 minutes to answer these questions. Can the back-end moderator please prepare the countdown and put this on the screen for us? Okay, so the first question is as follows. What is the most admirable quality you see in each of your opponents, and why is this? So this is a question that's going to ask you to reflect on actually the strengths of your other fellow candidates and to talk about their most admirable quality and why that is. So Anna, could I ask you to go first, please?
Thank you. This is a very important question, and I think it's fitting because all of us here who are contesting for the chairperson role are from the Pacific. So I think one of the admirable qualities that I see that I can connect with my cohorts in is the passion to actually lead young people, and the passion to voice their concerns, to amplify their interest, especially in this position. It's an international position. It's you know, it has to do with the Commonwealth Youth Council. It's a collaborative entity with, as I've mentioned before, much influence in the Commonwealth leaders, for the Commonwealth leaders, and also the Commonwealth Secretariat and the Council as well, of over 1.2 billion young people. So I think, you know, having the passion to lead, having the passion to hear the voices of young people, to amplify them in this platform, I think that's one of the admirable qualities that I see within my cohorts that are joining me here today.
Great, thank you so much, Anna, for your answer. So can I pass the question to Broderick now? So just so that you remember what the question is, I asked you, what is the most admirable quality you see in each of your opponents, and why is this?
Thank you for that. One of the things that I've seen amongst the candidates that are contesting for the role of chairperson is the commonality of our issues that we will be raising, whether it be persons with disabilities, youth leadership, good governance, accountability. These are the traits that we in the Pacific region, especially when dealing with young people, are often addressing. And I can say with all the candidates that are contesting for this position, we have at various platforms in raising those issues. And, you know, can I take this time to acknowledge them for the continuous hard work that they're doing, even during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Great, thank you, Broderick. Maybe I can ask Mererai now to come in. Mererai, the same question goes to you. What is the most admirable quality you see in each of your opponents, and why? And you can talk about the, you know, your opponents or the other candidates as a group, or you can maybe speak to individual qualities in each of them. I'm happy with either approach.
Thank you, Lucy. Let me just say one of the admirable qualities that I see with the rest of my opponents, the rest of the candidates here, is like Anna had said, passion and the commitment. And I see that they all bring a vast experience into this election. So yeah, passion, commitment, and experience, I'd say, are the admirable qualities of my fellow candidates. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And then over to our final candidate. So Kim, can you tell us what you think the most admirable quality you see in each of the other candidates is, and why is this?
Thank you, Lucy. Well, as my fellow contestants have mentioned, passion, common issues, and the shared experience. Well, beyond this, it's what I admire about this triad of my fellow contestants. It's the unity, the unity and the Pacific ways, the values that brings us together, and that's something that that's all about Commonwealth, and we can amplify on these values within the Pacific, because in Pacific you have fundamental values, you have values embedded in your cultural systems, and that's something that we count on beyond passion, the values that add substance to the passion, the values that add substance to the issues that we encounter, the values that add substance to your experience. It's something that brings us together, and that's something that we can provide to the Commonwealth across all 54 member states. And that's something Pacific have to be proud of, that we are coming together as one Pacific region. Despite wherever country we are in the Pacific, we are coming together based on our values of togetherness. Thanks.
Great. Actually, maybe I just wanted to pick up on a point there. So you mentioned Commonwealth values, and maybe this is a question I want to pose to all of our candidates, actually. How would you define Commonwealth values, and what does that mean for you? Maybe I can start with Kim, because you were the one who mentioned it, and then I will run through our other candidates as well.
Thanks, Lucy. Values are founding principles that holds up us upright in any organization, in any communities, and that's for sure like Commonwealth. And for values in Commonwealth, you're speaking about human rights, you're speaking about democratic, you're speaking about peace and security, tolerance, rule of law, sustainable development, access, gender equality across all Commonwealth. And that's something the Commonwealth member states have to uphold at all times, despite your religion, despite your background. Humanity is at key, and equal distribution of anything, of resources across all levels, across all 54 member states. And that for youths, it's very, very important. And I have to speak directly to all my national youth delegates. You have to uphold your values. And for Commonwealth, it's the respect you have for one another. It's the equality that you have for one another. All member states, other organizations such as UN, integrity holds us upright. You have to hold your fellow leaders accountable, and that's values that are core to the Commonwealth. And when upholding this, you uphold the status or the charter of the Commonwealth that guides its principles or its values. I mean, its development agenda across all 54 member states. And for me personally, before all this, I have personal values in me that taught by my parents, by my grandparents, and that's the Pacific way. Before you go out to any schools, you are taught by your parents. You're taught in the communities on who to respect, what to do when you step out there, and that's something that the Pacific way will bring to across all member states, 54. Whether you're a minority group, whether you are in a least developed country, whether you're a middle income earning country or developed states, we bring values, substantial values that holds you as a human being. Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm going to pose this question to our other candidates as well. So the question I'm putting to you, Mererai, is, how would you define Commonwealth values? And you might want to reflect as well in that on, are there particular values that you think would be very important and that you would want to drive as part of your term as UIC chairperson? And the same will go to all the other candidates as well.
Thank you, Lucy. The Commonwealth Youth values that, to me, according to me, this is good governance, respect for rule of law, democracy, human rights, understanding the diverse cultures within the Commonwealth region, and environmental protection. These are some of the values that we need to respect and uphold within the Commonwealth region.
Thank you so much. Can I put the same question now to Broderick? If you could answer how you would define Commonwealth values.
Thank you so much. I mean, both Kim and Mererai have raised valuable points about respect, governance, and human rights. But you know what is unique about it, and this is part of one of the Commonwealth values, is the recognition that we have diverse cultures and diverse areas of concern that makes us unique. And personally, for many young people that make up 1.8 billion of the world's population, it's recognizing that we can agree to disagree and that we respect each other's views and ideas. And we also tolerate one another. And one of the things, as Kim mentioned, in the Pacific region, that's been something that has been at the forefront, especially when engaging with grassroots communities, not only in Fiji or Papua New Guinea or Tonga for that matter, but across the Commonwealth. It's about recognizing that we're all different and unique, respecting each other's values, and also both past and present. And let me say, good governance, something that has always been at the forefront of the many issues that young people, not only in the Pacific, but in the Commonwealth, address on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Broderick. And then finally, can I put the same question to you, Anna?
Thank you. And I think that, you know, this important question, my other cohorts have already put in so much into it, especially in defining the values of the Commonwealth, and I quite agree to it. But as a leader, especially as a leader in the international stage, it's also important to implement these values and see that, you know, that it is relevant. For instance, now more than ever, we have been pushing for environment issues. We have, such as the climate crisis, we have been pushing for economic prosperity, realizing youth and their potentials, in terms of ensuring that they achieve employment, entrepreneurship, and enterprises, of which, of course, is where these Commonwealth qualities are directing, or these Commonwealth values. But what I want to emphasize here, that one of these qualities I think is important to recognize is good governance and the rule of law, especially in such a time as today, while we're experiencing, you know, the conflicts between the nations in the Middle East, of which has hindered the growth and the development of young people. And now more than ever, we need to realize, particularly, the importance of rule of law and good governance in bringing secure and safe societies for the development of young people. So I think, you know, it's important to realize these values, to recognize these values, but it's also important for leaders to start considering it, because I cannot stress how important it is for action, more action now than ever.
Great, thank you so much. So we're keeping the hard questions coming strong. So our next question is as follows. In your opinion, who is it that is at the core of the Commonwealth Youth Council, and why is that? And I'm going to pose this question first to you, Mererai. If you could come in, you've got 2 minutes. Who do you think is at the core of the Commonwealth Youth Council, and why?
My apologies, Lucy, could you please repeat the question?
Of course, yes. So the question is, in your opinion, who is at the heart of the Commonwealth Youth Council, and why?
Who is at the heart of the Commonwealth Youth Council? It is us young people. We are at the heart of the Commonwealth Youth Council. Young people, young leaders.
Brilliant. And I guess maybe just as a quick follow-on question to that. So the Commonwealth Youth Council obviously we're talking about the executive here, you know, and we've talked about you as candidates running for the chairperson role. Who do you see as playing a part in the Commonwealth Youth Council? Who are the different parts? And then maybe reflect again on who you think is at the core. Don't worry, I'll hand over to the next candidate. So perhaps I will hand over to you, Broderick, if you could answer the question, who do you think is at the core of CYC and why?
Thank you. Personally, the CYC cannot function if it's not for young people being at the forefront. But most important of all, I'm talking directly to young people that are in grassroots communities. The Commonwealth Youth Council comprises of 9 executive members from various regions of the Commonwealth. But in terms of the day-to-day operation of our work, at the end of the day, the issues that we address as the Commonwealth Youth Council needs to reach out as particularly grassroots communities, and also the inclusion of young people with disabilities. These groups of people make up the core values in which the Commonwealth Youth Council was founded. You know, we have to understand that the Commonwealth Youth Council hears all views of young people, whether at the regional level, national level, district or provincial level. But most important, our work is to help those in the grassroots communities. They're a key important role in our work. And I think what this plays in our society is that these groups of young people have not been given enough resources as well as accessibility to the day-to-day work of not only us as the Commonwealth Youth Council, but for any youth organization for that matter. And I think these 2 groups make up the most important role of what our work is in terms of the Commonwealth Youth Council. I thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Broderick. So what I'm going to do is, because I know that, you know, as we've all started to say, you know, young people are definitely at the core of the Commonwealth Youth Council. I'm going to encourage our next 2 candidates to reflect on, you know, are there missing voices at the heart of the Commonwealth Youth Council? You know, so just reflecting on what the previous 2 candidates have said. Maybe Anna, who do you think is at the core of the Commonwealth Youth Council, who might be missing?
Thank you. You know, part of my campaign is actually pushing for inclusivity, diversity, for sustainability. So I think with the idea of inclusivity and diversity, it means having young people from diverse backgrounds, diverse race, diverse, gender as well. And I think this is something that I bring with my candidacy is the representation of women for gender equality. And I think just to add on, it is very important to recognize that young people, of course, are the core of the Youth Council. And, you know, with the Youth Council, according to mandate, with us chairperson, with the chairperson role is steering the direction of the Commonwealth Youth. And that is very important to realize that, you know, we are just here as mere servants for the young people, and the whole reason of why we're here vying for these positions, and if elected, are because of the young people, are because of their interests. And it's important to ensure that there's an inclusive approach, having women, regardless of gender, women, the LGBTQ community, people with disabilities, even people that rise from the grassroots level. So basically having an inclusive approach, it is important to recognize that young people are the core of the CYC, but having them included, having a diverse representation, I think is also worth noting. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And then finally, Kim, so if you could tell us, you know, who do you think is at the core of the Commonwealth Youth Council and why? And is there anyone missing that we need to be aware of?
Thank you, Lucy. Now, everyone has mentioned that it's young people, but beyond young people, of course, the CYC, it's mandated to address youth issues, and that for sure we all know. Okay, beyond that, you have also older people, you have women, you have children, you have you have persons with disabilities. I've worked with persons with disability. I've learned sign language because I want to be inclusive to them, and inclusive is important. But and that's something we bring to as the role of the Commonwealth Youth Council, trying to bridge the intergenerational gap. And intergenerational, we have to understand that there are different values, there are different categories that people think alone. So you have the older people, you have the children, and then you have the youth in the middle. So the Commonwealth Youth Council bridges these two gaps of people, and you can see that. And also, as Anaseini mentioned, the LGBTI community, aside from LGBTI community, human rights is core. Human rights and dignity. Human dignity is core to every issue, cross-cutting, whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's across all. It's either further up in the Europe or in Sri Lanka, wherever the issues are, human rights is the fundamental values that we are advocating for, that you can have peace and prosperity in your community. And that's something in line with the Commonwealth Youth Council. And reflecting back to the values, let me remind us all that the values, we have to contribute something global to a global community, and also reflecting the common societies, as Broderick mentioned, the grassroots. I don't want to say grassroots because that's not a very good term to identify them, but there are people at a community level that we need to identify with, and those values to promote inclusive development at the community level, likewise at the international level, to promote public service reforms. What kind of values this Commonwealth are you bringing to the across 54 member states? And that's something you have to add value to the global community based on the value, and you connect that to promote integral human development. And basic to that, eccentric to that, is the human rights. So people, number one. Two, and also participation. We want to mention people's participation, but participation, I mean young people, but participation and representation is key. Not only making mention that, oh, it's a youth network, it's a youth CYC for youths. No. You have to involve them. You have to be inclusive. Inclusive means participation at democratic level, participation in political, participation in economic rights, all these things. So they have to be inclusive. Either you're a peasant, either I'm a person with a disability or minority group, you have to engage and help them participate in these activities across all 4 member states, either in Asia, Europe, Africa, or Pacific. Wherever you are Caribbean, you need to participate as a mandated CYC. And as CYC.
Great, thank you so much, Kim. I'm afraid we've run out of time. I wanted to ask a follow-up question, so please forgive my moderator's prerogative here. But you've all talked about young people being at the heart of the CYC, and I want to just think about structures for a minute. So we think about the constitution of the CYC. Who qualifies as being at the core of CYC? And who is at the heart of the CYC's membership? And I just want you to reflect on that a little bit and talk about what you think that means. You know, if you were to become chairperson, what do you see as being at the core of CYC structures, and how would you enable and strengthen this? So maybe I can go to Broderick first on this.
Thank you for that. Well, as I've mentioned earlier, I mean, at the core value in terms of membership of the CYC, it bubbles down to the main purpose of our work. It's not only to help those that have the opportunities and platforms such as this, but we need to reach out to those that do not have access to these platforms. And I reiterate it again, it goes down to the community or grassroots level. Many of them do not have access to these platforms and opportunities. It also goes down to those in the district level. They play a key role in this in terms of the decision making. Then it goes to the provincial level, further to that at national level, then at regional, and thus at Commonwealth level. I mean, we have to understand that we have to ensure that we're reaching out to the key people that don't have access and opportunities such as this. And I agree with Kim. Of course, there needs to be an intergenerational approach in everything that we do. But we have to understand that there are certain groups of people that always will be left out of these spaces, and we're trying as much as we can to include them. That includes persons with disabilities, and at the same time, get each and every groups that I've mentioned earlier to be active in their role in these spaces, and at the same time, have positive participation. I think that's something that is at the heart of the Commonwealth Youth Council. And, you know, in the Pacific, these are some of the values that we often address and at the same time integrate in all our lines of work when it comes to youth and community development spaces. I thank you.
Great. Thanks, Broderick. So I'm going to hand over to the other candidates, but maybe I will also just sort of clarify a little bit on the question. So when we talk about the constitution of CYC, so who are the members of CYC? Who is CYC accountable to? And I think that will guide you to thinking who is at the heart of the Commonwealth Youth Council, because the Commonwealth Youth Council, while it is representing young people, so many young people, it also has a key role in thinking about how it supports that at all levels. So not everything is driven through a Commonwealth Youth Council, but actually how is the Commonwealth Youth Council supporting regional and local youth mobilisation and action and governance? So I'm going to just leave those thoughts there, and I'm going to hand over to Mererai now. So Mererai, just thinking about the constitution of the CYC and who is at the heart of the CYC. How would you see those structures as working? How do you see the role of the Commonwealth Youth Council's membership playing this role in the development of the Commonwealth Youth Council? And how would you want to facilitate and support that as the chairperson?
Thank you, Lucy. I believe your first question was who was at the core of the Commonwealth Youth Council. Like the rest of the candidates have mentioned, it is young people, it is the people within the Commonwealth region, and those that work at various the member states at national level, at community level, those that advocate for inclusivity and development and key issues affecting the people, countries within the Commonwealth region. So these are the policies, and those are the policies that affect young people within the Commonwealth youth countries, and partnership and development within member states. I believe at the end of the day, it all goes down to the people within the Commonwealth member states.
Great, thank you. Can I now pass to Kim?
Thank you, Lucy. Now, I know this for sure the national youth delegates are listening in. So definitely the members to the national youth, the Commonwealth Youth Council are the national youth councils. Now, we already have an existing structure. You have the national Commonwealth Youth Council. It goes down to the regional youth councils, the regional youth representatives. That's why you have the regional reps to be on this hostings. And for sure, you are listening to me. So you have a role to play. And as a candidate, I will make sure you have a role to play and make sure I implement those campaign strategies you do. So national youth councils, we have to support these national youth councils. You don't want to sit idle there as a national youth council. You have to participate, while the chairperson implements at the Commonwealth youth level, up at the top level of with the secretariat and with the other international youth organizations. The Commonwealth youth councils, the national youth councils within the Commonwealth are the key. Small island developing countries, where, like I said, across all 5 regions, you are the key person. And national youth delegates in the Commonwealth Youth Council, you have a huge task to do. Hey, I have to drop the bomb there. You have to do that. And that you have to play the role to engage within your country, youth in your country. And I will make sure I will follow up as a candidate when into play. I will follow up on the roles that you are doing, and we will support you whenever we can, and what resources that we can to support those national youth councils. That's key to us. And that's why we have to hold members accountable. So you have the Commonwealth, the national youth councils holding the CYC accountable. Likewise, the CYC holding the national youth councils accountable. And then you have the regional reps that plays the intermediate role in mediating between.
Thanks so much, Kim. So finally, can I hand over to Anna for your reflections on, from a structural perspective, who is at the heart of the CYC?
Thank you. From the Constitution, of course, it outlines on Article 14 and 22 in particular the role of the CYC executives, particularly as trustees of the council in leading and also steering the direction of the young people, with the young people's interest. So I just want to really emphasize here the importance of collaboration. I know that with the chairperson position, it plays an integral part in steering the whole council and also the interests of young people. But it's also important to realize that as a chairperson, you won't know it all. So that is why you have your council backing you up. That is why we have the regional councils backing the council up. That is why we have the national councils, the ones that will ensure that the council altogether is accountable to young people throughout the Commonwealth and vice versa. It's also important to realize that the importance of disseminating information, reaching out to young people, because I think that's something that the council has lacked throughout the years, and we hope to bridge that gap of reaching out to as many young people as we can. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much to all our candidates for dealing with that question. I know it's a challenging one. You know, I think you're absolutely right that young people are at the heart of the Commonwealth Youth Council, but there is also a lot of work to be done thinking about Commonwealth Youth Council as a structure and how we work together as an executive and the National Youth Council. So really good to hear some reflections on that at the end. Okay, I'm moving on to the final of our predetermined questions. And this question has actually specifically been asked by our outgoing Commonwealth Youth Council, reflecting on some of their experiences during their term of office. And so they've posed this question. You've got 2 minutes to answer it. I'm going to hand over to each of you in turn. But on behalf of the CYC, we wanted to ask you, can you please recount a specific challenge you faced while playing a similar role in another organisation, and how did you overcome that? And why is this challenge relevant to the work of CYC? And we're asking this because we know many of you have played, you know, key leadership roles in youth organisations and have experienced some of the opportunities and challenges that come with, you know, being in a role like the chair. And so we really want to hear a little bit about your experiences, what you've learned from them, and how you would apply that learning to the role of CYC chairperson. So I'm going to ask first, let's see, I will ask Kim, if you could maybe come in on this one. Could you recount a specific challenge you faced in the past while in a similar role, how you overcame that, and what learning that you would apply from that to the role of CYC chairperson?
Thank you, Lucy. Well, I worked with the United Nations, and the United Nations, it's a multilateral organization, just like the Commonwealth, which is an intergovernmental organization, and with youths, it's diverse. Well, in my previous role with the Commonwealth, with the United Nations as the Secretary for the Staff Association, there were funding issues. There were funding issues that we need to collect membership funds, and I was tasked by the President to do that. And over time, and there are different people, you have international staff, you have national staff, and I have to convince with my president each staff that yes, you have to pay your membership fees, and then I have to show them that we are credible, we have the integrity as a staff association, holding to account what's mandated to us. And I've delivered that. Providing accounts, providing management reports, providing the briefs for the president in all aspects. And I've given that to its members where they trusted us, and they gave their membership fees, which raised the funds for the staff association. And that's something I will bring to the Commonwealth Youth Council, managerial and also management of, not only management, but of like resources, and also holding accountable its members, and likewise open to critics from you, the NYD and the National Youth Councils. It's always an open-ended learning from each other. Thank you.
Great, and if I could just ask a follow-up question, what's the maybe one key bit of learning or one key skill you use to overcome that challenge that you think would be particularly important for your role as CYC chairperson? Accountability is key, and that's something I provided. Balancing the financial reports, balancing, holding
your word by delivering. Yes, we have a meeting on time. I will provide the briefs for you. Yes, I have been accountable in everything that you say, and that's something I will bring to you. And I assure you, my fellow youth delegates, I assure you I will account to you what's expected of me as a role for the Commonwealth Youth Council Chairperson.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to pose the same question to you, Mererai. So can you recount a specific challenge that you encountered while playing a similar role in another organisation? How did you overcome that challenge? And why is this challenge relevant to the work of CYC? What did you learn and how would you apply that as CYC Chairperson?
Thank you, Lucy. One of the, like I mentioned in my introduction, I currently work as the chairperson of the Fiji Trade Union Congress Youth Committee, which looks after, this is the national trade union organization for 1,000 young workers in the country. And one of the challenges that I faced is in Fiji, we have diverse cultures, people of different backgrounds, and one of the challenges that I faced is people do not have enough knowledge of their rights. I work as a workers' rights lawyer, and legal representation, their legal rights as workers. These are some of the things that I have faced, the challenges that I faced. The people do not have basic understanding of their rights as workers, the labor rights, human rights even. So this is one of the challenges that I faced being the chair of the Fiji Trade Union Congress Youth Committee, understanding of the rights. And I believe this is also an issue because workers' rights are human rights. That is a given. And I believe also at the Commonwealth level, this is also one of the rights that, this is also one of the pressing issues, understanding of workers' rights and labor rights. So this was one of the challenges that I encountered in my involvement at the FDUC Youth Committee level. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mererai. I'm just going to ask a follow-up on that one, like I did with Kim. So you talked about the challenges that you faced in this role and how that would be applicable to the CYC and CYC's terms, but maybe if you could just touch on one skill or one bit of learning that you had from tackling and overcoming this challenge that you think would be particularly important to bring to your role as CYC Chairperson.
Thank you, Lucy. First of all, the first thing that you got to do is you got to understand the challenge, and then you got to identify ways in which you can address this challenge. So for me, at the FDUC level, for those who did not understand their rights, for our members who we represent, it's all about translating in a language that they will understand better. So I believe it's all about coming down to their.
Great, thank you so much, Mererai. So can I pose this same question to Anna? So can you tell us about a challenge that you might have encountered when playing a similar role in another organisation? How did you overcome it? And why is this challenge relevant to CYC? What have you learned that you would bring with you to the role of CYC Chairperson?
Thank you. I think in my experience of working with a youth organization and representing youth voices is the challenge of the lack of resources and support to implement the work, the agendas that are given, the policies that are in place. The issue is having the resources to mobilize. So I think this is a challenge that we may all face, because I know that in our capacity as youth leaders and youth workers, we can only do so much as to advise governments on policy changes regarding youth interests. But the main issue, the critical challenge that we face is the lack of resources. So that is why it's important to establish partnerships. That is why it's important to work cooperatively with our governments and development partners, of which I am fortunate enough to have in this candidacy for the chairperson role, is the strong support of my government, its developing partners, and the international organizations that I've affiliated with throughout the years. It's important to have these networks to leverage on, understanding that the CYC is a non-profitable organization. We need the resources to ensure that we mobilize the policies that are already in place. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Anna. Can I pose this same question to our final candidate, Broderick? So, can you give a specific example of a challenge you may have faced while playing a similar role in another organisation? What is the challenge? How did you overcome it? And what is the learning or skill that you would bring from this experience to the work of the CYC?
Thank you so much for that, Lucy. I mean, the candidates raised very interesting points on how they address certain issues in their line of work. I think for us at Ignite for Change, one of the things when starting off running a youth-led organization is finding key partners that share the same values and visions for young people. And in the Pacific region, we're very fortunate to have organizations at regional levels, such as the Pacific Community, at international levels, such as the United Nations HIV and AIDS Project, the United Nations Regional Office for Human Rights, that really recognize the important role young people play and the issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. Of course, there's a lot of challenges that face with it. Limitations from governments of the day in terms of moving forward with our work, but then you have to form partnerships with organizations that share your similar interests and values. And the organizations that I've mentioned are just a few partners that have contributed from our organization to this on their agenda, as well as what they have contributed to our agenda in terms of moving our work forward. And it's not just a one-time opportunity where we work with them. We've continued to work with them each and every time from year to year. And it's amazing because as a leader, you have to ensure that your partners are already established on the ground. And that is what is needed because, as Anaseini had mentioned, this is a non-profit organization. So we will need as much partners as well as resources to enable that our work on the ground at regional and national level is achieved. And I thank you for that.
Great, thank you, Broderick. Maybe just a follow-up question on that, because I was quite interested by both of the last two candidates mentioning, the role of partnerships. Can you talk about how you might have established these partnerships and what you think some of the challenges and opportunities might be in establishing new partnerships for CYC? And I'm actually going to ask you this question, but then I'm going to go back and ask all the other candidates the same question.
Well, thank you so much for that, Lucy. It's critically important that, as I've mentioned earlier, these partnerships need to be formed with various organizations that share the common values of our work at the CYC, as well as at national and regional levels, because it's equally important. A lot of times there are a lot of organizations that have various causes, and at the same time that there are gaps that they need to fill. One of the things that I've observed here in the Pacific, and especially in Fiji, and we just completed a mapping exercise, is that many organizations fail to recognize youth in their project implementation processes, as well as there's not many organizations that are keen in working with young people. And that's something for the chairperson of the Commonwealth Youth Council that needs to be addressed at that ground level. Make no mistake, this is not only at regional or national level. Like I've mentioned, it needs to trickle down to those in the grassroots communities, because we all have a common purpose, is that to strengthen the engagement of young people, but at the same time ensure that no one is left behind.
Great, thanks, Broderick. And can I ask, can you give us an example of a partnership that you've built in your work, and maybe what was key to the success of that partnership?
Well, like I said, one of the things that we faced off when starting off Ignite for Change was the funding, as well as trying to find partners that share our similar goals. It's just not only meeting up for a cup of coffee or having exchange via emails, it's ensuring that you're serious about the work that you're going to do and meeting the task at hand. Because one of the things that we've seen with various stakeholders that we've partnered with over the years is ensuring credibility, accountability, and as well as sustainability, because most of the time what young people do is that they come and do projects and it's just a one-time thing. Our projects that we've done with these various stakeholders, whether at national, regional, or at local level for that matter, is ensuring that the projects are sustainable. One of the key things that I'd like to highlight before I conclude is that at this moment, there's a project that is specifically for young people addressing national as well as grassroots communities, which is the active youth participation in community development, reaching out to those people not only in the urban or rural areas, but in the outer islands. And we've just launched that project last year in October.
Sorry, Broderick, I'm afraid we've run out of time, but thank you. So I'm going to come back to Anna. Anna, can you give us a specific example of a partnership that you've built or been involved in the development of? What did it achieve? What were its successes? What were its challenges? And then what are the kind of partnerships that you would want to build as part of CYC?
Thank you. This is a very important question. And one of the partnerships that I developed in my position as the youth champion for the International Conference on Population Development Program of Action is the partnership between not just the UNFPA, but also its partnership with other development partners such as Australia, New Zealand, in particular for the Pacific. This is very important and critical for us in the Pacific because we very much rely on the resources and capacities from these two greater nations of the Pacific. And, you know, without resources, we can't mobilize, we can't do so much. So that is why it's important to develop partnerships. And these partnerships have effectively contributed to youth interest. It has been building a lot of youth leaders. It has been aiding a lot of outreach programs within communities to reach youth in terms of educating them on their sexual and reproductive health and rights. And this is important because, you know, the health and security of young people are integral to their growth. So this is one of the partnerships that this is one of the framework that I want to bring to the Commonwealth Youth Council, is having to develop partnerships. And strong partnership starts with yourself. For example, myself coming from Tonga as having the support of my government. That partnership with my government can link me to partnerships with great nations, as my country is of course a member of the CYC, of the Greater Commonwealth Community, sorry. So indeed, partnership enables resources and capacity to mobilize. So that is something that is crucial to the whole operations of the CYC. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm going to pose the same question to Mererai. So Mererai, can you give us a specific example of a partnership that you've developed or been involved in? Tell us about, you know, one challenge, one success from that, and then what kind of partnerships would you want to build for CYC if you were elected as the chairperson?
Thank you, Lucy. Like the rest of the my fellow candidates have mentioned, the most important thing is partnership. Here at the FDUC level, we partnered with women's rights organization to lobby for the ratification of the ILO Convention C190 on violence and harassment in the world of work. So that was one area where we partnered with the women's rights organization in the country, in Fiji. And I believe partnership with other civil society organization and NGOs is important at the national level, also at the regional level and international level.
Great. And what kind of partnership? So is that the kind of partnership you would want to build for CYC with wider civil society? And maybe just a few reflections on how you would go about that.
Yes, Lucy. Partnership at the national level, within national youth councils within the region, within the Commonwealth region, within the Pacific region is important, where we will realize the common issues that we're advocating for.
Great, thank you. And then to Kim. So Kim, the same question to you. Can you give us a specific example of a partnership that you've developed or led on? Tell us maybe one challenge in that partnership, one success from that partnership. And then it would be great to hear from you just a few reflections on the kind of partnerships you would like to build for CYC going forward.
Thank you, Lucy. Currently, I am implementing a community grant program by global change makers in my community, which will impact 500 plus people in the island because of the impact of climate change. And we are trying to address water, which is sustainable because we are doing a community dam project. Number two, I worked with Restless Development. Last year, we did a COVID-19 research program. Restless is an international NGO youth group, and we presented that to the UN Youth Envoy. We had a brief with her and how to amplify those voices and mobilize UN member states to provide support to youth across the UN member states. Now, this experience is, and I've worked across the diverse at the national level. I call my role communities. I provide the context to the UN, to the national delegates. They're supporting. At the regional level, I'm grateful to have the work. Now we are on board with the climate change project with the Pacific Islands Forum. Which gonna be, we have youth advocates from Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga on board that we're gonna work with. So you can see it's already connecting the dots. Now at the Commonwealth Youth Council, I want to commend the work of the existing and the previous Commonwealth Youth Executives for the partnerships that they built over time. Now the challenge, and I will take that on board, is to strengthen these partnerships, strengthen and create this partnership, create new partnerships to establish the work of the Commonwealth Youth Councils. And I have to digress on this question, and also to the small island states across the Africa, Asia, please don't think twice about it, because we will come through the existing platforms, existing bodies that are in your regions. And three things I want to highlight in terms of creating and strengthening the existing partners that our current executives and the previous executives have built. Number one, maintain the trust. Number two, cooperate, which means constant cooperation, whatever activities you are. And then number three, as I reflect back to the first values, accountability. You have to be accountable to what the partnership about. If it's funding, you have to provide the reports. If it's reports, you have to give them what they want. And it's all across. It's the member states, our government that provides the support to the Commonwealth youths or other youth stakeholders, which means international youth developments, and that I bring to the space, that I bring to Commonwealth Youth Council. We can partner with this international youth development organizations such as Global Change Makers. There's so much opportunity to build on from there. There is huge opportunity to partner, I assure you.
Great, thanks to all our candidates for your comments. So now we're getting to the middle of the Hustings session. So we're going to change things up a bit. Before we move on to the open questions, I want to just invite each of our candidates to give some intermediate remarks. So you've got 2 minutes. And this is an opportunity for you to make any additional points that maybe you didn't feel like you had a chance to make during the Q&A part of the discussion, or if there's any other key messages that you want to share, particularly with our national youth delegates at this point in the discussions. So maybe I can go to Anna first on this. You've got 2 minutes, Anna.
Thank you. I just wanted to share, and I want to emphasize that, you know, from my manifesto, I know that I've been mentioning throughout my campaign the importance of inclusivity, diversity, and sustainability, but really generally the vision is to accelerate the current efforts on ensuring that youth achieve their fullest potential. And it can be social, economic, and political wise, but it is important, and I can't stress enough the importance of working to achieve and to address the issues and interests of young people. I just want to also add, for the interest of the NYDs, values that I hold dear to to my whole leadership and the leadership approach that I wish to bring to the council. I wish to usher in an inclusive leadership approach, of which it enables diverse inputs, and this is important and it's crucial because this whole journey of youth leadership, it's a growth development. It's important to recognize and to also leverage on partnerships and also the council and its members, because like I mentioned before, being the leader, there will be times where you won't have it all, and there will be times where you may have to encounter hindrances to the progression of the work. That is why you have to ensure that you're open-minded and that you're willing to work with your team, with the council, with the executives. And this is something important as well. The values, as I mentioned, I value so much: authenticity, accountability, of course, gratitude, and that is part of being Tongan, a gratitude, appreciation for opportunities, for partnerships, and also for the help that will be given once and if, God willing, I be elected to this role. But most importantly, the value that I hold dear to me is having the heart to serve, diligently, vigilantly, and resiliently. So this is very important for NYDs, and I wish to convey that this is the first time we'll be electing a chairperson from the Pacific, and because the Commonwealth is a collective body and therefore it's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we've run over the 2 minutes, so Eileen has shut off the mic, but thank you so much, Hannah. Perhaps if I hand over to Mererai now for her intermediate remarks. So you've got 2 minutes. Anything that you want to share with our audience and the National Youth Delegates at this moment, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lucy. One of the things that I would like to share to the National Youth Delegates this evening is that one of the issues that we are facing in the Commonwealth region and the Pacific region is the youth unemployment crisis. And the current pandemic has exacerbated this challenge, finding employment for young people within the Pacific region, within the Commonwealth countries. So as part of my manifesto, the youth employment, I'm advocating for a decent job and decent pay for young people. And this is one of the key issues that we're facing within the region. And I believe we should do more to address this issue. The resources that we need to utilize, the skills training that we need to provide to young people to address this challenge. So yes, and it's not just limited to just decent jobs for youth. We'll also be looking into climate change, climate action programs, and gender inequality. These are the common issues within the Commonwealth Commonwealth region, the issues that need to be addressed.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm now going to hand it over to Kim. Kim, you've got 2 minutes to make your campaign pitch, to share anything that people may not have already heard from you, and to just share anything that you feel like you also would like to say at this point in the hustings.
Now, my fellow youth delegates and the audience, the issues that I mentioned, that they are not new. They're not new things that we have to see. They are there right in front of us, and with post-COVID-19, the challenges are increasing. Now, I have to clarify here for the sake of the National Youth Councils and the delegates. Now, you have internal structures that needs to be maintained. Are you feeling, if I want to digress on this question, are you feeling the presence of Commonwealth Youth Council in your country or across the region? Therefore, that's the reason why I'm standing as a candidate for the chairperson, to strengthen these systems, internal systems. Only when you have internal systems, then you see the results. That's every organization knows that. So you have to come back and upskill, build your relationship internally. You have to build a trust internally. You have to keep your record books clearly and be accountable to everything that you do. And that's something that I want to bring only, like I said, and I repeat, only when you strengthen and upgrade your internal structures. What do I mean internal structures? It's for the Commonwealth Youth Council to build trust and confidence in the Commonwealth Youth Council, that the government will say, yes, you matter to us, that your youth stakeholders will say, yes, you matter to us. So when you matter to us, we give you the funds, you go and implement it for the sake of the Commonwealth youths across 54 member states. That's why I'm standing. And that's why I want to assure you that we need to work head on, especially with post-COVID-19. You have to take note that either at the back of your mind, or write it down, take it note that we have to strengthen our internal systems and then balance it with the current existing structures. Existing structures means national youth councils, national youth delegates. You have to do the job. You have to do the job in your country. And before you do the job, we have to build a confidence. We have to build a trust, cooperation, accountability, all these things. Once we have a running engine, we should deliver as a Commonwealth Youth Council.
Great, thank you, Kim. So Broderick, 2 minutes for you to outline your campaign, any points you would like to raise at this point, and any key messages that you want to share with the National Youth Delegates and the rest of the audience.
Thank you so much for that. Indeed, what has been laid out before us, the road in terms of our engagement in the Commonwealth Youth Council is not an easy task. Many of the candidates have raised various issues that they'll be addressing. And of course, the structures are in place. It's for us to not only fine-tune it, but ensure that it's youth-centric and youth-specific. And I would encourage all national youth delegates out there to continuously be active in your societies and continue to strengthen the level of engagement of youth in your respective regions and in your communities. I think all of us as running for each of the positions, whether chairperson or regional representative or special interest, is that we want to ensure that your voices are heard, that your voices are recognized. We can't do it alone. And you know, for us in the Pacific, this gives an opportunity for any one of us to showcase how the Pacific has continuously addressed issues at the forefront using Pacific ways. And I cannot emphasize how much work we need to do with the various levels of engagement that we will do with our partners, as well as to you, national youth delegates, and those that are in the communities and grassroots levels. And I thank you.
Great, thanks to all our candidates for their remarks. So now is the exciting part of this session. We're opening the floor for questions from the audience. Please, if you're watching, either send your questions into the general chat that you would like our candidates to answer, or alternatively, I know my colleagues are monitoring the Facebook page where this is live streaming, so we will be able to gather questions that way as well. Once we have questions, each of the candidates will have 2 minutes to answer. So we won't be taking individual questions, but we will be posing each question to all the candidates. So please go ahead, start sharing your questions. If you have any problems with the chat, I think my colleague should be just typing there now, so you should be able to find it. But in the meantime, I believe we've already had a question through on our Facebook page, so I'm going to start with that one. So the question we've received, and I think this is a really good one. So as CYC chairperson, your role is to ensure neutrality and ensure issues beyond your region are addressed. So how will you ensure that that is done? What are your plans for a Commonwealth-wide approach? And maybe I can ask Kim to start with that question.
Sorry, may you please repeat the question?
Yes, of course. So as CYC chairperson, you must ensure neutrality and ensure that issues beyond your region are also addressed. So how will you ensure that that is done? How will you take a Commonwealth-wide approach? And what are your plans?
Thank you so much. That's a very good question, because equality and inclusiveness is common in the Commonwealth Youth Council, and that we have to maintain and uphold. So I assure you, as the candidate, I will give you my equal attention across all member states, as I've repeatedly mentioned, and that's for sure. Now, when it comes to what needs to be done is you have to create, and I have to emphasize again with the partnership, strengthen. We have already existing partnership. We have already existing frameworks. Your regional reps, that's for sure. I will come to your regional reps, and then your regional reps will come down to the national youth delegates or national youth councils. And that's structure we have to upgrade. We have to maintain that, and we have to improve it if it's not working, or constant communication. That for sure, I assure you, will follow the processes. But for me, if you want to get directly in touch with me, I'm just over a chat, a click of a button on social media, approach me, and then we can have a cordial relationship or dialogue. And also build credibility by effective and constant communication channels. I'm a communications person. I have a communications background. For sure, I assure you, you will receive monthly newsletters. You will receive social media updates on what the Commonwealth is doing, and to build confidence in the role of CYC. That is key to me. How can we trust the Commonwealth Youth Council? And that's to effectively to address the development agenda. And this is done through Commonwealth Youth Forums, through regional forums, through national forums. The message will be communicated through the existing channels, through there. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Kim. So I'm going to put this question now to Anna. So Anna, as CYC chairperson, you must ensure neutrality and ensure that issues beyond your region are addressed. So how are you going to ensure that happens? How will you take a Commonwealth-wide approach? And what are your plans as a CYC chairperson?
Thank you. This is, of course, a very important question, because we need to step out from our confines in the region in this leadership role, because we are not just going to be leaders of the Pacific for the Pacific. We are going to be the leaders to all the 54 membership countries and its young people. So my Commonwealth holistic approach to this leadership is through accountability. And I want to emphasize here, and I think after going through the Constitution, there are, of course, ways of keeping us chairpersons and executives accountable to the youth. But I want to assure the young people that I have given my manifesto, my plans, my vision, and I've shared my values, as I mentioned before. But I want to let young people know, youth leaders as well, that you have the right to hold us and call us aside and have us accountable with our actions, because we are just mere servants of the youth. So I want to ensure that you understand the rights as young people to hold us accountable to our actions and our decisions. And yes, I think it's important to ensure inclusivity and diversity through accountability in this form of leadership, especially the leadership role of chairperson. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Anna. So I'm now going to pose this question to Broderick. So just so that you know it's repeated and you're clear on the question. So as CYC chairperson, your role is to ensure neutrality and ensure that issues beyond your region are addressed. So how will you ensure that that is done? How will you take a Commonwealth-wide approach? And what are your plans?
Thank you for that, Lucy. The Commonwealth Youth Council is to serve the mandate of all Commonwealth youths. And of course, we have to work with the structures that are already in place and recognize and respect them. But more so, we need to also identify what are the major gaps in reaching out to all these existing bodies, in particular, right up to the Commonwealth Youth Council level. And often at times, it's just a channel of communication. And at the same time, maybe those structures need to be fine-tuned, but at the same time, needs a youth holistic approach. In terms of how can we move forward in terms of bringing about inclusivity to regions, especially for Commonwealth youths, is just to create major platforms. One of the things that I'm planning to do is to ensure platforms for each of the regions, Commonwealth youths, because quite frankly, there are stories that each of the regions bring to the table that make up the Commonwealth Youth Council, providing those spaces like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whereby each region showcases their Commonwealth youths and how they tackle issues on a day-to-day basis. The other thing that I'd like to address is that we as the Commonwealth Youth Council need to ensure transparency and accountability and to hold each one of us to account, whether the Commonwealth Youth Council, Regional Youth Council, the National Youth Council, Provisional, because we can't do this work alone, but we need to ensure that we are doing the mandate that is required by all the Commonwealth youths, not only in the Pacific region, but across the Commonwealth region. And those are some of the measures that are taking place and also implement if given the opportunity to serve as chairperson of the Commonwealth Youth Council.
Great, thank you. Finally, can I pass to Mererai to answer the same question?
Thank you, Lucy. If given the opportunity to serve as chairperson of the Commonwealth Youth Council, is to remove any element of bias, and I need to be transparent. I need to uphold the values of the Commonwealth, and also encourage free flow of information, open discussions, dialogue, and also a leader that listens, not just a leader who leads, but a leader that listens to the concerns of the council, the Commonwealth Youth Council, and also from within the region. And also, to maintain neutrality, you have to weigh the positives and the negatives, and be open to criticism. And yes, all about upholding the values of the Commonwealth, and also be accountable. Accountability and transparency is key.
Great, thank you. I actually want to pick up on the question that's come through in the chat from one of our national youth delegates, because I think it's an interesting follow-on from the question that we just asked. So how would you, as the chairperson, make us believe that we are part of the CYC as a country or as a National Youth Council? Because we often only hear from the executive during election period. So I think this follows on from what we were just discussing, but maybe if you're able to give a 1-minute response, let's say, to that question, I think that would be really good. Perhaps I can ask Broderick if you would do that first.
Well, thank you so much for that, and a very good question. You know, that's one of the things that we're trying to address, is that it's not only during election times that we hear from the executives of the Commonwealth Youth Council. I think the Commonwealth Youth Council needs to be open and provide platforms such as this, being on Zoom, having constant communication with not only national youth delegates, but regional delegates, as well as those in the grassroots communities, and also providing those platforms and spaces to ensure that your stories are heard and as well as being recognized. You know, it's just ensuring that we have communications available to ensure that your needs are met, and as well as how we can work together to ensure that the Commonwealth Youth Council functions to the best of its ability.
Great, thank you. Kim, can you go next?
Thank you. Yes, you need to be in touch. You need to keep in touch with your delegates, with your executives. For sure, just maybe I encourage you just for a moment, just go through our social media platforms and see all the comments, who is responding to what. And I assure you, all those who have reached out to me, asking me, even I'm from Papua New Guinea, but my colleagues in Solomon Islands ask me for how to get funding from global change makers. I have to give my time to him, and maybe he's here, he will testify that I advise him very detailed on how to get funding support. I am, like I said earlier on, mentioned earlier, I am just a click of button on social media. Just inbox me and you will approach me. And if necessary steps to be taken, we will go through the existing platforms to remind them. I have to digress, reflect on the previous question on communication channels, because we are, I think, overlooking some sub-chairperson, vice chairpersons partnership. We have inclusiveness, so we have to make use of those people, and they'll be online. And please, I encourage you, national youth delegates, to select with informed decision, seeing the level of engagement and the experience that we can leverage what our experiences are to bring, and also benefit the role of the CYC across all 54 member states.
Great, thank you. Anna, can I ask you to answer this one next?
Thank you. Again, it brings us back to collaboration, and this is important. And I have noticed this myself because even, you know, with a lot of youth in my country and also the region that have had issues with the CYC being recognized. I think this is when we as chairperson come down to the level where we work together with our regional representatives and also down to the national youth delegates. It's also important to bring awareness to the regional reps and the NYDs, national youth delegates, the importance of ensuring that there is accountability and dissemination of information using various platforms, be it social media or in the local medias, but ensuring that the youth are informed of what the council is doing, its operations, its vision, its policies, and its mandate. So it's really having to work together with the regional reps and ensuring that the regional that the regional council is active in ensuring that the council is represented in the regions and nations as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mererai, perhaps you can also comment on this question.
Thank you, Lucy. I believe the most important thing is communication, effective communication in order to achieve our common goals within the Commonwealth Youth Council, effective communication within the council, within with our regional representatives, with the national youth delegates. I believe communication that allows free flow of information and that encourages youth participation and that looks into youth activities. So I believe the most important thing is effective communication and bringing the youths from within the Commonwealth region on an equal platform. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we've had a couple of different questions come in. I'm going to pull one off of Facebook first, and then maybe pick up on one in the chat. So given that COVID-19 may mean that the executive will not be able to meet in person, or at least not for the foreseeable future, perhaps, how do you intend to create synergy amongst your team and have that kind of dynamic and partnership within your team that really leads to its success? And really thinking about some of the challenges that you might encounter in doing that. You know, how do you plan? How do you connect, particularly with the digital divide? And how will you be able to establish, monitor, and evaluate your plan as UIC chairperson? So perhaps I can ask Anna to come in on that one first.
Thank you. And indeed, COVID-19 and this unprecedented time has hindered a lot of the work that that we are all doing in terms of development and in terms of working as a council, ensuring that we are effectively operating for the interests of young people is, of course, we will have to rely on these platforms, on technology and digital technology, but it's also important as well to have the collaboration in ensuring that we are accountable and having the rest of the members of the CYC and also the national youth delegates to become the mechanism that checks us and ensures that we are on track and are working as mandated by, you know, our visions and our policies. And, you know, it's important that we all work together, and collaboration comes in again. It's important that we all work together during these times. It may be hard considering that we are in different locations trying to work together for the common good and the commonwealth of our interests, of our youth. And yes, I think from my side, I would first of all engage with digital technology, and second of all, which I hope to have your support, is working together collaboratively despite the time differences and our locations as well.
Great, thanks. Kim, maybe you want to take that question next.
Thank you. Well, like my colleague mentioned, in the age of technology has brought us closer than ever before. And with the challenges with the post-COVID-19, we, for example, right now we are in touch. We are connecting via Zoom and social media. So by default, we are already connecting, and across those that are marginalized, especially the digital divide in the rural areas, we have the existence. So that's why we have structure in place, and I assure that we will have constant communication through the available means, like the digital platforms that we have at hand. For those that in the rural areas, definitely we will relay message through the existing channels of communication, through the existing structures in place, like the regional, and then to the national youth councils, and the national will implement accordingly. And key to this is constant communication. We will ensure that we have constant communication to keep each other updated on what we are doing, and report back to our members on constantly, either it's fortnightly or monthly or quarterly. We will uphold that.
Great, thank you. And I think, yeah, I think a lot of people will be interested to know, what would be the frequency of the communication they can expect. Perhaps I can pass over now to Broderick to answer the question.
Thank you so much for that, Lucy. And indeed, an amazing question, because this is one of the major platforms that has connected all of us here this evening to actually hear from one another. One of the things implemented in my manifesto, of course, is strengthening technologies through education. One of the platforms that I'm actually involved in is the online education course on professionalizing youth work in the Pacific. That doesn't only entail the subjects that are tackled here in the Pacific. These online platforms are for you, the Commonwealth youths. And it's free, and it's also accessible for any Commonwealth youth that will be interested in it. Also bearing in mind the channels of communications. I believe right now with the social media playing an integral part, it's also providing Zoom platforms on issues such as mental health, good governance. And also for those that cannot access social media, it's also providing videos, for them to enable that they are well versed with the issues that we are addressing, but at the same time, there's a flow of communication that they get the message, but at the same time ensure that their voices are heard and recognized. And we are providing those platforms on the ground. And with your help as the CYC, we can build that platform to an even greater level. But it only requires your support from the National Youth Delegates and to the National Youth Delegation and the Commonwealth Youth Council.
Great, thank you. And then can I pose a question finally to Mererai?
Thank you, Lucy. I believe just because we cannot meet physically, the council cannot meet in person, that should limit us from carrying out our work. We live in a digitalized world, and like my fellow candidates have mentioned, we have various platforms, various forms of technology where we can connect and get the work done. We have Zoom, we have Microsoft Teams, we have our other social media platforms which we can utilize to get the work done. But one of the things that we got to take into consideration is not all countries within the Commonwealth region is blessed with good infrastructure in terms of internet connectivity. These are some of the issues that we got to take into consideration at the CYC. We should be able to come up with ways in which we can address this. So if the council is able to meet virtually, either on Zoom or other virtual platforms, we should have our other partners on the ground who are able to deliver the message where we are not able to reach them via internet connection or virtually. So that is one of the main things that we should consider, that meetings and work and activities that needs to be carried out dealing with youth issues should not only be limited to face-to-face meetings. I know we're living in unprecedented times. This is a challenge, but we got to utilize the virtual world, and that is how.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry, I know everyone has so much to say, and it's always a challenge to squeeze everything in 2 minutes. So I think I want to just pose one final question to all of you. And as a member of a network myself, I'm very keen to hear your answers on this one. But as candidates for CYC Chairperson, I'd love to hear your vision on how you will work with the wider Commonwealth Youth space, so particularly the Commonwealth thematic networks like Commonwealth Youth Climate Change Network, Commonwealth Youth Health Network, to advance some of your aims and ambitions and what that kind of partnership might look like. Perhaps if I could ask Anna to come in on this one first.
Thank you. Sorry, can I please have the question again?
Of course, yes. So as a potential candidate for CYC Chair, how would you see CYC working closely together with other parts of the Commonwealth Youth space, particularly the Commonwealth Youth Networks? What would be your priorities for that, and how would you look at working together?
Thank you. As I've always mentioned, and as well as my cohorts, the importance of collaboration and inclusivity in terms of our approach to this leadership. And we have to recognize that, you know, these other thematic entities of the CYC are crucial in supporting the operations of the CYC. We have the policies. We want to ensure that the young people are catered for in terms of health and well-being. So that is where we need the support, the advice, and also the findings that the other thematic entities have, such as the Commonwealth Health Network, and also we need to have them engaged, because, you know, it's important to work together, especially with those that are on the ground level working, in particular with the issues that we are wanting to address and that we're proposing to have immediate actions towards. So I think it is important that we work together with the thematic entities of the CYC to ensure that we are being impactful, effective, and sufficient in terms of our approach in addressing and implementing the policies that are in place and the issues that we want and we prioritize with our whole leadership. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can I put the same question to Kim next?
Thank you, Lucy. Now, the other Commonwealth Youth Networks, they are key. I am a member of the other Commonwealth. I am a member of Commonwealth Youth Gender and Equality Network. I am a member of the Commonwealth Climate Network. So I understand clearly what we face, or the issues are, especially for the other Commonwealth Youth Networks. And key to this is we need effective collaboration, as my fellow Anaseini has mentioned, and how we can seek advice from each other. And beyond this, it's to enhance coordination. So certain work that needs to be done by the network, they can do it. For example, and the same issues we are all addressing. For example, gender inequality, it's the same issue. And this can be a driving forces who are already at the already at the regional and national level. So we can work always side by side. And to my fellow members across the other youth networks, we assure you a effective collaboration and coordination towards addressing the same issues, because these are the same issues that Commonwealth Youth stands for. And beyond that, it's the extending network and extending work from our current mandate. So the other Commonwealth may we have to work with them to lead us to other opportunities or other memberships. Likewise, we engage them in other areas under the Commonwealth Youth Council, and that's why it's key within the executives. That's why we have the vice president for partnership and inclusiveness. That's why we have the vice chairperson for policy and advocacy. That's why we have the vice chairperson for inclusiveness.
Great, thank you. Yeah, run out of time there, unfortunately. Perhaps I can pose the same question to you, Mererai. How would you envision working closely with Commonwealth Youth Networks?
Thank you, Lucy. I believe the main important thing is maintaining collaboration, finding out what the strength of the outgoing committee, the past executive committee, and we'll review ways in which we can make collaboration stronger and also be inclusive and encourage a dialogue with other institutions within the Commonwealth. I recently just been part of the Commonwealth Trade Union group, so I believe working with the other institution within the Commonwealth should be able to assist the Commonwealth Youth Council.
Great, thank you. And finally, can I pose the same question to you, Broderick?
Thank you so much, Lucy, for that. And again, a very good question, because our line of work now in this era of COVID-19 will be always using the digital spaces. Can I also emphasize that each of the networks that are under the Commonwealth have important mandates. And our work as the Commonwealth Youth Council, working closely with them, is ensuring that the issues are addressed and that youth matter in these spaces. One thing that I'm listening to the conversations that have been carried out is that the spaces to raise these issues has not been provided. Working with key stakeholders to put those stories out there on their blogs or on social media. That's playing an important role in strengthening our partnership, but also ensuring that all of our voices are heard. The other thing is also that we work closely with media. I think media right now plays an integral part, because everyone is connected, wanting to know what is the latest news that is going on within the Commonwealth region, and just working closely with digital and traditional medias, whether newspapers, radio broadcast, or even on the digital media itself, on websites. That would play an important role in terms of our working relationship between the networks of the Commonwealth as well as us, Commonwealth Youth Council.
Great, thank you. Well, we're coming to the end of our 2-hour hustings, and I just want to start by thanking all our amazing candidates and to the audience for bearing with us until now. It's been a really great discussion, and I think we've had a chance to get a flavour of some of our different candidates, what they're standing for and their priorities, which has been really great. We're now at the final part of the hustings, where we're going to give each candidate a final 2 minutes to share their closing remarks for their candidacy and to explain to us why we should vote for them. So I'm going to go in no particular order. Perhaps Mererai, can you go first? You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lucy. I believe most of the things that I have shared today are clear to the national youth delegates that are present. Whatever is in my manifesto is what I will be advocating for. I just know that this is not just for show, this is not just for these elections that I'm contesting. These are the issues that I advocate for and I'm passionate about. And it's about time we have somebody from a workers' background that will bring about, that will talk about decent jobs for youth, workers' rights, human rights issues, climate change, and I believe it is also about time we have a woman. I don't mean no disrespect to other genders. I believe it is about time we have a woman this time around at the Commonwealth Youth Council. So make a difference, vote for Mererai Vatege.
Thank you, Mererai. Can I give 2 minutes now to Kim? You have the floor.
Thank you. Hey guys, the myriad of challenges that we face, as mentioned, all these issues, climate change, health, or they may demotivate us, and you may say it's impossible. However, let me remind you that you have the inherent potential, and through passion, through vision, through strategic approach, through values that we always mention, and through partnership that we have all mentioned throughout this. And this is the transition of a new dynamic relationship between the Commonwealth Youth Council, representing 1.4 billion across 54 member states, young people, to strengthen our relationship with youth stakeholders and amplify these youth voices, not only to speak, but to take practical actions and mobilize resources for youth-led sustainable solutions. So we have hope. We have hope. You have inherent potential that the world and your community by default needs you to release towards a positive impact. And by instilling values guided by principles, working in partnership across all youth stakeholders, governments, private sector, and other international youth organizations, this you need, and only then we will achieve the sustainable development goals. I am humbled and courageous and determined that we all can strengthen existing CYC structures, and will build confidence that yes, young people, you and I are responsible. We are responsible people, and we can take lead with integrity across all levels of society, all levels of governance, and all across all sectors. And I assure you, all 54 member states, you will have my attention. Either you are in Africa or least developing countries, whether you are developed or you are developing, you will have my attention, because that's my mandate. And I raise my hands voluntarily. I am already doing part.
Sorry, I'm afraid that's the 2 minutes up. Broderick, you have the floor and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as well as our national youth delegates, you've heard from the four of us in what we'll bring to the table in terms of the level of work that will contribute towards the CYC. But at the end of the day, let's be clear. The Commonwealth Youth Council is looking for somebody with effective leadership that has the collaborations on the ground, already formed those partnerships, work closely with not only regional, national, but also grassroots youth. We need an effective leader. We need a leader that can lead the Commonwealth Youth Council to achieve milestone work from strength to strength for the next 2 years. I'm hoping to be one of those people that'll be taking the helm for chairperson of the Commonwealth Youth Council. Let's be clear. One vote, one voice, vote for Broderick Mervyn for the chairperson of the Commonwealth Youth Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Broderick. And so last but not least, Anna, you have the floor and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. The Commonwealth is a dynamic space that have been for years embracing equality at the core of its value. And for years, the Commonwealth have been supporting and empowering young people, addressing gender equality. And I think it is only necessary that the term of the Pacific, this will be implemented, and this will be proven by electing a female into the chairperson role, the first ever female. And it's important for me because, you know, it's not just proving that a woman can make it to the top leadership role, but it is also proving, and it's also serving as an inspiration for young people from diverse gender background and also race, that, you know, anyone can just become the leader. Anyone can be the top servant in serving the young people, in ensuring that young people reach their fullest potential. And yes, I bring to the table the support of my government, its developing partners, and also the international networks that I've been working for, youth-led, and also international organizations such as the UN, UNFPA in particular. And I also wish to add here that, you know, I want to be the leader that listens, the leader that wears the shoes of young people with dire needs, the leader that will walk with them, weathering the challenges that they face especially during this unprecedented time. And I wish to put forth a saying by the greatest Briton, one of the leaders that I take inspiration from, Winston Churchill, in his address in Parliament, one of his inaugural address, that I bring nothing but blood, sweat, toil, and tears, and I am ready to be your servant. And also the words of Mandela, you know, I want to unite the council, and I want to mobilize and to fight on to ensure that the young people, their issues are addressed, that everything, you know.
Great, thank you so much, Anna. I'm afraid that's the 2 minutes up. Well, everyone, you've heard the pitches from all our candidates. I just want to take this moment to thank all of them so much for their answers and to wish them best of luck with their candidacy. So just information for all of us on what happens next. So the candidates will continue their campaigning until the 23rd of May, and then the elections are scheduled to take place on the 24th to 25th of May. I'd highly suggest that you follow the timeline for the upcoming hustings for other positions, which are all taking place over the next few days. So it's going to be very busy, but you'll have a chance to listen, to hear about how the other candidates want to pitch for the roles of regional representatives and some of the vice chair roles. And I think that would be really worth doing before you cast your vote. The full list can be found on the CYC website and Facebook page, and you'll also be able to find the recording of all the hustings in case either you want to rewatch them or you weren't able to make it and you want to catch up. So finally, as the moderator of this session, I just want to thank you all once again for being with us today. And I'm looking forward to seeing how all the different campaigns unfold over the coming weeks. It should definitely be exciting. Take care, everyone, and bye. Have a wonderful rest of the day.